On October 29, 1919, the Secretary of Labor of the United States, W.B. Wilson, opened the first ever session of the International Labor Conference, saying that our homes are your homes, and we want you to feel that you're not strangers at the gate, but part of us. And while we have made great progress in the last 100 years, including a Nobel Prize for using economic empowerment and social justice for peace, we've started to see regressions. There are too many countries in the world today that have shut those gates, becoming strangers in our interconnected and a codependent world. Excellencies, Secretary General, President of the General Assembly, heads of states and governments, distinguished guests, and our dynamic young people in the balcony, it is my honor to be here with you today. My name is Jolly Amatya. I am from Nepal, and I'm speaking on behalf of the United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth. We are the General Assembly mandated youth engagement mechanism at the UN, originally created in 1992 as an outcome of Agenda 21. And these words come from a constituency of over 7,000 youth-led entities from over 170 countries and territories, from local informal grassroots groups to large youth-led organizations, some even older than the UN. And despite our failing education systems, we've done our homework. The Constitution of the ILO opens, stating that universal and lasting peace can be established only and only if it is based upon social justice. Secretary Wilson echoed this, saying that war is waste. And yet, globally, we spend a combined of $1.7 trillion in our military because our economic models cannot tell the difference between the production of weapons for mass destruction and instruments of well-being. Our economic models see rises in executive pay as more beneficial than rises in workers' pay, which is why wages continue to stagnate and have stagnated despite massive rises in productivity. A truly equitable and inclusive future of work cannot be hijacked by the same mindset that has led us to where we are today. Our short-sighted quest and blind obsession with the GDP growth is perpetuating human rights abuses against a majority of humanity and destroying our ecological life support systems. Unchecked growth is an existential threat. And in the midst of these crises, young people have jumped into action. Young people, we know that there will be no 200th anniversary of the ILO if we continue to steamroll our planetary boundaries and not take immediate and extreme action to reverse climate change. There are no jobs to protect if we're all dead. No jobs on a dead planet. The 8th ECOSOC Youth Forum took place this week under the theme of empowered, included, and equal. The session on SDG 8 had 3 key recommendations. 1, we must move beyond GDP and shift our economic models to the ones that value and measure the well-being of all and the integrity of the planet. We need alternative development strategies, including sustainable degrowth for the overconsuming. There's no future for an economic paradigm that puts growth and greed over people and planet. 2, the transitions that young people care about, the transitions that we care about is not just from school to work, but it is from ageist, undemocratic aristocracies to governance structures that are inclusive of all and is based upon intergenerational dialogue, participation, and collaboration. We do not need individual leaders. What we need is collective action that is based upon universality and equity. The Latin root of the word innovation actually means bringing old and new together into something greater than the sum of its constituent parts. And only equitable and inclusive democracies can create true innovation. 3, young people's trust in institutions are at an all-time low. And rebuilding that very trust is key to moving forward to the future that we want. Our institutions must be recalibrated to align with the aspirations of the 2030 agenda. They need to set examples that we can be proud of and not perpetuate outdated and unjust systems that impose hardships on people. We need civic education that promotes participatory budgeting, collective bargaining, and voting. The first International Labour Conference in 1919 had 5 key agenda items: a working hour maximum, unemployment, women's employment, employment of children, and the prohibition of an extremely dangerous chemical in the workplace. And today, ladies and gentlemen, 100 years later, it should frighten us that we're still struggling to achieve these things. Again, universal and lasting peace can be established only if it is based upon social justice. The key to a brighter future of work is an honest reflection on why the present of work has not lived up to our shared collective aspirations. We need to go beyond seeing people as just their potential value added and bring back humanity to the core principles that guide our decisions. Our call to action, young people's call to action, is very simple. We all must work together, all peoples, with each other, for a just and a peaceful planet. And together, we can make it work. We call on you to call on us. Either way, we're moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you to Jolie Amatya for a very, very powerful statement.